I never imagined I'd ever hear the words my wife hurled at me that night. "You're terrible in bed, Michael," she said in a voice so icy it felt like it could freeze the air around us. She stood there with her arms crossed, as if she had just delivered some final, devastating verdict. We'd been married 5 years, and not once had she ever said anything remotely close to that. I just stared at her, stunned, like the ground beneath our marriage had suddenly split open. All of it started with something trivial, chores. Lauren was irritated that I hadn't folded the laundry after getting home. I was drained, exhausted after a long evening teaching at the community college in Boise, Idaho. I told her I'd handle the laundry in the morning, but somehow that tiny spark of frustration flared into something much larger. She launched into a list of every little thing that bothered her. How I forgot the trash, how I didn't plan dates anymore, how I supposedly wasn't as attentive as I used to be. And then, out of nowhere, she cut into me with those words, "You're bad in bed." The entire room fell silent. My chest clenched. I felt my fingertips go numb. That wasn't just rude, it was degrading. The sort of humiliation that digs under your skin because it comes from the one person who's supposed to safeguard your vulnerability, not weaponize it. I forced out a bitter laugh, as if that could soften the blow. "Seriously, Lauren? That's where you're taking this?" Her mouth twisted into a cold, mocking smile. "I'm just being honest. Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't feel like I'm missing out." I wanted to yell, to call out how cruel that was. But before I could even open my mouth, a voice from the doorway cut through the tension. It was her best friend, Sophia. She'd come over earlier for wine. Apparently, she had heard everything. She stepped forward with her arms folded, her stare locked on Lauren. "That's not true," she said, calm but sharp. "Don't lie to him. You and I both know he isn't the issue here." Lauren's complexion went pale for a second, then flushed with rage. She whipped around to face Sophia, eyes wide like she'd been betrayed. "What did you just say?" she snapped, her voice trembling with fury and something like fear. "Sophia, you have no right." But Sophia didn't budge. "No right? You just humiliated your husband over something that isn't even real. I've heard you gush to me before about your nights with him. Don't pretend you've been suffering." My mouth nearly hit the floor. I didn't know whether to be more shocked that Sophia was defending me or that Lauren used to brag about our intimacy behind my back. Lauren opened her mouth, lips quivering, but all that came out was a strained, "Shut up, Sophia." I sat frozen on the couch, wishing I could disappear and also wanting answers. The air felt suffocating. Lauren's hands trembled as she grabbed a glass and slammed it onto the table. "Why are you even saying this? What are you trying to do?" Sophia let out a harsh, humorless laugh. "What am I trying to do? Maybe I'm just tired of watching you tear down a man who actually loves you. You shove him away, then blame him. You humiliate him to hide your own guilt." "Guilt?" I finally spoke, barely above a whisper. "What guilt?" Lauren turned to me, her eyes darting fast, like she was trapped. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Sophia answered for her, voice like steel. "She's been messaging another guy, Michael. I've seen it. I wasn't going to say anything, but after hearing what she said to you, no, you don't deserve that." Felt like the floor dropped out. My ears buzzed. My heart hammered painfully. I stared at my wife, the woman I had trusted fully. "Is that true?" I asked, my voice shaking. Lauren's face had gone ghostly. It's not what you think," she whispered, suddenly small. Sophia shook her head, disgusted. "Don't start lying again. He should know the truth. You've been attacking him to distract from your own betrayal. That's exactly what this is." Lauren opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her silence was as damning as a confession. Seconds dragged into what felt like hours. The weight in the room pressed down on me until I could barely breathe. The woman I thought I knew better than anyone sat there, unable to deny any of it. That silence told me everything. "Lauren," I said quietly, my voice cracking, "after everything we've built, why?" Tears filled her eyes, but I could see clearly. They weren't tears of regret. They were tears of being caught. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she muttered. "He just made me feel wanted. I never stopped loving you. I just..." "Stop." The word rang through the living room. My chest ached, but I forced myself to stay grounded. "You humiliated me. You told me I wasn't enough. All because you couldn't face your own lies. Do you understand what you've done?" She reached for my hand, but I pulled away before she touched me. Her touch made my skin crawl. She looked at Sophia, silently begging for support, but Sophia's expression remained cold. "I'm finished covering for you," Sophia said sharply. "You hurt him to protect yourself. If you actually cared about him, you wouldn't have destroyed his trust just to avoid admitting you were wrong." For the first time in our marriage, Lauren looked trapped, without her usual sharp comebacks or defenses. The woman who once wielded words like weapons now sat speechless. I rose slowly, my hands unsteady, my heart torn between heartbreak and a strange new clarity. "I don't know what comes next, Lauren," I said, "but I know this. I won't stay in a marriage built on lies. and I refuse to let you tear me down to cover your mistakes. Lauren sobbed, but I didn't wait for whatever excuse she was about to offer. I walked to the door, my body heavy but my mind eerily calm. Sophia gave me a small, supportive nod as I passed. That night was the end of the marriage I once thought was unshakable. The pain ran deep, but beneath it was something else. Something steady. Resolve. Her betrayal had broken me, but it had also set me free. For the first time in years, I felt myself standing tall, ready to rebuild a life without her shadows hanging over me.